Welcome back. Now that let us see the second part. It is my childhood. Just in brief, where we left that first part, that is his close friends Ramananda Sastri, Aravindan, Sivaprakashan, how they settled when they grew up. After that, during the annual Sri Sita-Rama Kalyanam ceremony, Sri Navami, our family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from the temple to the marriage site situated in the middle of the pond called Rama Tirtha, which was near our house. Near their house, there was a pond, Rama Tirtha. So, there the solemnization of that holy marriage take place. To carry those idols of Lord Rama, Sita, and Hanuman and Lakshman, all these idols, they are to be carried to that marriage site, and those idols are carried. To carry those idols, this family, Kalam's family, used to arrange birds. Events from the Ramayana and from the life of the prophet. He was very fortunate to have that diverse childhood bedtime stories, both from the Ramayana and from the life of Prophet Muhammad. Okay, so for the bedtime stories, my mother and grandmother would tell the children in our family. From the stories from the Ramayana and the life of Prophet, where the bedtime stories my mother and grandmother would tell the children in our family. One day, when I was in 5th standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to our class. I used to wear a cap which marked me as a Muslim, and I always sat in the front row next to Ramananda Sastri, who wore the sacred thread. When he was in his 5th standard in Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came, and being bright boys, Ramananda Sastri and Kalam, they used to sit on the same bench, but Kalam wearing a skull cap. Traditionally, these Muslim brothers, they would wear this skull cap, clearly marked him as a Muslim, and Ramananda Sastri wearing that sacred thread made him clearly identify that he is a Orthodox Brahmin boy. This new teacher, seeing them sitting together, could not digest. So he asked Abdul Kalam to go and sit on the back bench. That episode troubled them both much. Not only it troubled Abdul Kalam, but also severely it troubled Ramananda Sastri also. After that, when the day was over, they went back to their homes and they informed their respective parents what actually had happened in the school and their experience with that new teacher. Unlike today's parents, these parents, particularly Ramananda Sastri's father, that is Lakshmana Sastri, with authoritatively, he called that new teacher. He summoned the teacher. It means calling someone with some authority. They have to come. So authoritatively, he called the new teacher and asked the new teacher, not to spread the poison of communal intolerance and all. Otherwise, so he had an option to leave the school and island. Otherwise, the second option was he had to apologize, even though they are children, to those kids. And certainly, this gentle warning from that Lakshmana Sastri Garu, reformed the teacher, and that was a very good experience and permanently etched in the memory of Abdul Kalam. Maybe that was minutely might have contributed for his becoming a jewel of India, Bharat Ratna. So the new teacher couldn't stomach a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. He couldn't digest. The new teacher couldn't digest, couldn't tolerate a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. In accordance with our social ranking, as the new teacher saw it, I was asked to go and sit on the back bench. So Abdul Kalam was asked to go and sit on the back bench. I felt very sad, and so did Ramananda Sastri. I felt bad, so did Ramananda Sastri. Feel bad. He looked utterly downcast as I shifted to my seat in the last row. The image of him weeping when I shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on me. So Ramanatha Shastri, of course, he was there on the first bench. Kalam, when he was going back to sit on the last bench, Ramanatha Shastri started weeping, and that impression of his close friend Ramanatha Shastri weeping, okay, so having had that long lasting impression on his mind, Kalam's mind. After school, we went home and told our respective parents about the incident. Lakshmana Shastri, that is father of Ramanatha Shastri, summoned the teacher, okay, authoritatively calling someone, that is summoning the teacher, and in our presence told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality, should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance. Here the problem is not social inequality but communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. He bluntly asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. Not only did the teacher regret his behavior, but the strong sense of conviction Lakshmana Shastri conveyed. Okay, he had very strong sense of conviction. It means we should be communally tolerable. There should be communal tolerance. So he had that very strong conviction, though he was an orthodox Brahmin priest in that Rameshwaram temple. He had very strong belief about this communal tolerance. That strong sense of conviction conveyed by Lakshmana Shastri reformed the new teacher. Lakshmana Shastri conveyed, ultimately reformed his young teacher. On the whole, the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms of segregation of different social groups. Of course, here Lakshmana Shastri, there one more person may be there, but as a whole, in total, the Rameshwaram society was very rigid in its customs and its social practices. However, my science teacher, one more reformer like Lakshmana Shastri, his science teacher, Kalam's science teacher, Sevasubramanya Iyer, though an orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife, his wife was very conservative, so traditional, okay, was something of a rebel. He too was a rebel. Rebel, it means he was rebellious against these social differences and this communal intolerance and religious or social inequalities and all. Against those, he was rebellious. Okay, in that sense, he was a rebel. He did his best to break social barriers so that people from varying backgrounds, different backgrounds, could mix easily. Okay, as an individual, he could do very little, very small, but he could do something. So, having very strong belief that though individually he could very little, but certainly he could do something that may be little. So, thinking so, he did his best to bring that social harmony in the society of Rameshwaram. He used hours with me and would say, no doubt every teacher would like to spend a good amount of time with good students. So, the case is not different in the case of Sevasubramanya Iyer and Abdul Kalam. So, this is science teacher Iyer, okay, used to spend much time with Kalam, and while they were together, he used to say to his favorite student Kalam, what he would say, Kalam, I want you to develop so that you are on par with the highly educated people of the big cities. On par means equal. My dear Kalam, I want you to grow up and develop and should become an equal or at par with all those educated people from the cities. Such type of encouragement certainly made him what he is. One day, he invited, science teacher, invited me to his house for meal. His wife, as she was conservative woman, his wife was horrified at the idea of a Muslim boy being invited to dine in her ritually pure kitchen. Okay, she used to keep her kitchen ritually pure. Maybe before entering the kitchen or while using the kitchen, maybe she used to do some rituals and all. So she was horrified at the thought of inviting a Muslim boy into her ritually pure kitchen where she had to serve him. She was reluctant there without showing any emotion Okay, as if he expected such behavior from his wife. He was not perturbed, and it was Mr. Sivasubramania Iyer, he himself, okay, so served Kalam, and not only did he serve Kalam with his own hands, but also sat beside him and had his meals too. Certainly this episode transformed that conservative traditional orthodox woman, Mrs. Sivasubramania Iyer. She refused to serve me in her kitchen. Sivasubramania Iyer was not perturbed, he was not disturbed, as if he expected such behavior from his wife. Nor did he angry with his wife, but instead, Baduluga, so served me with his own hands and sat down beside me, by the side of, besides, in addition to. Please remember this difference between beside and besides. Beside me, by the side of, besides, in addition to, okay. Beside me and ate his meal. His wife watched us from behind the kitchen door. His wife curiously watched this husband and this kid standing behind the door. I wondered whether she had observed any difference in the way I ate rice, drank water, or cleaned the floor after the meal. He wondered as a kid whether she had found any difference the way he had taken food, he had taken water, he had cleaned the floor after his meals and all, the way any other Orthodox Brahmin boy would do. Okay, whether she had found any such differences between my activities and any other Orthodox Brahmin boys' activities, whether she had found. Okay, I wondered. Okay. When I was leaving the house, Sivasubramania Iyer invited me to join him for dinner again the next weekend. So cleverly, and expecting no doubt such reformation, okay, the way Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri expected of that new teacher, here Sivasubramania Iyer also expecting such behavior, such transformation, such change would come, okay, in his wife, okay, cleverly invited Kalam to his house the next weekend also, to which Kalam was reluctant whether to accept it or not. There, okay, so consoling, okay, this is Sivasubramania Iyer convincingly, encouragingly, okay, supportively said to Kalam. What he said, let us see. Next weekend, observing my hesitation. Hesitation means yes or no. That is whether to accept the invitation or not. That is a hesitation. He told not to get upset, saying, there he said, once you decide to change the system, such problems have to be confronted, faced. That is the meaning of confrontation. Once you want to change the system, no doubt, you have to be ready to face such confrontations. So when I visited this house next week, it was Sivasubramania Iyer's wife herself took him inside her ritually pure kitchen and served me food with her own hands, being reformed by her generous, orthodox, conventional, traditional, at the same time reforming husband. Then the Second World War was over and India's freedom was imminent. Okay, now if we cut short the story, the Second World War was about to be over, that is around 1945 and all, and India's freedom was imminent because the British government promised Indians that if they cooperate them during that war, being a member of that allied forces, no doubt they would give us that freedom and all. That's why across the country, okay, people were so happy because the freedom would be, India's freedom would be imminent. Imminent means inevitable. Inevitable means that cannot be avoided. Okay, they cannot not give the freedom now. India would be free within a matter of, if not weeks, at least within a matter of months, or maybe in a matter of a few years. That is, war ended in 1945 and we got independence in 1947, as you know. So within a matter of a few years, no doubt India would become independence. In comparison with the 200 plus years of that subjugation and oppression, so spending or waiting for a few years, it is not a matter. So that's why across the country, people are very jubilant, okay, because of that imminent freedom. Indians will build their own India, declared Gandhiji. So Indians will build their own India. How we are building? So we all know. Okay, so declared Gandhiji. So now one of the developing countries, or as far as the GDP is concerned, okay, so we are in the top, okay, so 5-6 category, and science and technology also, in all the aspects, so we are trying to catch up with that so-called materially rich West. Okay, this point we very well covered in that lesson Renjao with Ray, where that Roberts was troubled by that spiritual poverty of the West, not as much he was troubled by that material poverty of India and all, but no doubt we are already spiritually rich out of that context only. So yesterday, that is 21st June, we celebrated that Yoga Day and all, International Yoga Day, not that National Yoga Day. This is our contribution to the world. Okay, so our yoga, okay, our meditation, our sages and seers, about them we have that national diversity lesson also a bit. And so this spiritually rich country is now trying to catch up and to become in that side also, other side of the coin, that is also materially rich country. So having this in mind, so father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi proudly declared that Indians would build their own India. The whole country was filled with an unprecedented optimism. Unprecedented means that has not been seen till then. That is the meaning of unprecedented. Okay, optimism, that is positive. I asked my father for permission to leave Rameswaram and study at the district headquarters in Ramanathapuram. By the time he finished his primary studies or whatever the studies that were available there in that Rameswaram town, and he wanted permission, or he asked his father to send him to that district headquarters Ramanathapuram for his higher studies. Okay, to which his mother was hesitant. Being mother, out of her motherly love and affection, she was not ready to leave Abdul Kalam. To that hesitant mother, this wonderful husband and father, he said a wonderful lines. Let us see. He told me as if thinking aloud. It is said by now, Abdul Kalam's father, Jainuddin. Okay, he is talking to his son. Earlier, that science teacher Sivasubramania Iyer talked to Kalam, and there he said, Kalam, I wanted you grow up and become a well educated and should on par with all those educated people from the cities and all. But here, the father, what he is saying is, Kalam, Abdul, I know you have to go away to grow. I know you have to go away to grow. To grow, you have to go away. Does the seagull not fly across the sun alone and without a nest? It does mean that you have to gain the independence. So symbolically he brought that metaphor, seagull, okay, which flies alone across the sky, against the sun, towards the sun, and alone. It means you have to become independent. Though you have been so fortunate enjoying the comforts of this very large family, today or tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, one fine moment, no doubt you have to go out to grow and start leading life independently. Okay, that I know. Okay, that's why, no doubt. Okay, so it is not that you asked me to send you to Ramanathapuram. Even if you don't ask me, then also I have to persuade you to go to Ramanathapuram for your higher studies in order to have that independent future. But this mother, out of her love, she was hesitant whether to leave him or not, Kalam. So he quoted Khalil Gibran, to my hesitant mother. So that Ashiyama, she was hesitant, okay, whether to leave Kalam or not. So to such a hesitant wife, public mother, Jainuddin, father, he quoted from a wonderful poet from Lebanon, Khalil Gibran, who penned that poetry book, that is The Prophet. Very wonderful, inspiring book. Okay, very deep spiritual meanings. He quoted Khalil Gibran, to my hesitant mother. Your children are not your children. A beautiful line. Your children are not your children. Your children are not your children. Okay, certainly this sentence confuses us, but that's why the meaning is very, very deep. Your children are not your children. They are the children of life. Life wants to continue. So it is out of life's longing to continue itself. Life wants jivam, not jivitam. Jivam. Life wants children. So those children, they come through you, not from you. If they don't come through you, they would come through somebody else, because life wants children. Thinking that the children have come from me, okay, don't have so much of attachment to children and all. It is a general message not only to Ashiyamma but also all to those sticky parents. It is from Khalil Gibran's Prophet book line. It is neither of Jainuddin's words nor of the speakers. He quoted Khalil Gibran to my hesitant mother. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters, children of life's longing for itself. జీవం తనని తాను కొనసాగించుకోవాలని కోరుకుంటుంది. అందులో భాగంగా పిల్లలు వస్తారు, అంతేగాని నీ నుంచి రారు, నీ ద్వారా వస్తారు. బ్యూటిఫుల్ లైన్స్. సో దే కమ్ త్రూ యూ బట్ నాట్ ఫ్రమ్ యూ. యూ మే గివ్ దెమ్ యువర్ లవ్ బట్ నాట్ యువర్ థాట్స్, ఫర్ దే హ్యావ్ దేర్ ఓన్ థాట్స్. యాజ్ అ మదర్, యాజ్ ఫాదర్, యాజ్ పేరెంట్స్, వీ మే గివ్ దెమ్ అవర్ లవ్, okay, and but not our thoughts, because they have their own thoughts, because they have their own individuality and they have their own individual role to play in this beautiful world. So how can you force your thoughts, okay, on them? Of course, being motherly, being fatherly, no doubt we have to shower them with love and affection. That is our primary duty also, and as best as possible we should give them the roots and wings. The roots are nothing but the values we should inculcate them since childhood, and the wings nothing but the best education possible at our level. If these two things are given, okay, deep rooted values, that is as roots, and good education, so that so as having that good education as their wings, they could fly wherever they wanted to fly. So you don't have to make any other arrangements, just give them values and education, and give them and shower them with tremendous love and affection, so that their future forever they would feel that security. Okay, unless the children receive the tremendous love and affection they were now supposed to receive from their parents and all, so they would be having some troubling future, okay, having less confidence and all, low confidence and all. That's why of late we see here and there all those successful people in the materialistic world, outside world, they are so weak inside and they are taking that extreme steps and all, like this is Sushant Singh Rajput and all. Certainly of course utterly and very deeply respecting their okay, personal lives and persons, but certainly being role models to this younger generations, so certainly they should think twice, thrice or four times or five times or more than that, okay, before they come back from that very bad decision. But unfortunately, so these well educated and so socially very secured people, we feel they are taking these extreme steps. But such things can be avoided if parents are taking good care as parents, okay, accepting those children, their children as they are, not that they should be the way they wish them to be. Then this okay, business comes. Okay, no, I love you, then only if you be this way or that way. So that is certainly a different transaction. Certainly the transaction should not be there between parents and children. So the parents, to the best of their ability, okay, they should shower these their children with love and affection, so that they would have that emotionally secure future. Materially they may be rich or they may be poor. This day they may be rich, tomorrow they may be poor. With the same logic, the next day they may be again rich. But emotionally that is not the case. Once they are emotionally poor, it is a bit highly difficult, okay, to compensate those emotionally deficient levels. Maybe having all these okay, so wonderful parenting okay, attitudes having in his mind, this Jainuddin convinced his hesitant wife, okay, to leave her loving son to go to that district headquarters Ramanathapuram for his higher studies, quoting from Khalil Gibran's Prophet, where the wonderful poet from Lebanon convinced all of us that children are not your children, they are the children of life's longing for itself. They come through you, not from you. They have their own thoughts. Don't give your thoughts, and love them because they have their own thoughts. Beautiful lines worth recollecting and remembering again and again, not only as a 10th class student but throughout our life. Okay, you can understand these lines when you grow up. Okay, I hope you have been enjoying all these lessons. Now we have come to that last theme. A part is over. Now let us see in the next episode what that poem is. Thank you so much. Take care.